Far out in the ocean, days from the nearest coastline, a floating city moves across the waves. It hums with the constant vibration of engines, the rhythm of flight operations, and the footsteps of thousands of people living and working together. It has no streets, but corridors. No skyline, but a runway. And yet, it functions like a small city, complete with its own power grid, hospital, radio station, post office, and bakery. This is an aircraft carrier, a city at sea and one of the most complex machines ever built by humans. The power beneath. A modern aircraft carrier is longer than 3 football fields and displaces over 100,000 tons. It's powered not by diesel or gas turbines, but by nuclear reactors buried deep within its steel hull. Each reactor can run 4 decades without refueling, generating enough electricity to light an entire city on land. That power drives propellers, lifts aircraft on elevators, desalinates seawater for the crew, cooks thousands of meals per day, and even powers the radar arrays that scan hundreds of miles in every direction. But what makes this city unique isn't just what's below the deck, it's what happens above it. The top of the ship is a runway barely 250 meters long, and yet fighter jets take off and land on it every few minutes. To make that possible, engineers designed 2 remarkable systems: catapults and arresting wires. The catapults accelerate a jet from 0 to 250 kilometers per hour in just 2 seconds, the equivalent of going from stillness to highway speed in less than the blink of an eye. When the jet returns, a small hook on its tail catches one of 4 steel cables stretched across the deck, bringing it to a dead stop in under 100 meters. Every launch and landing is a perfectly choreographed act of timing and trust. Life below deck. Below deck, the city never sleeps. 5,000 people live in a world of narrow hallways, constant motion, and strict schedules. The pilots above rely on thousands of specialists below. Mechanics, electricians, engineers, cooks, meteorologists, and communications officers, all working in 12-hour shifts that keep the carrier running 24/7. The ship is a maze of compartments, but every person knows their place and purpose. A single malfunction, a valve, a circuit, a sensor, can halt flight operations. So redundancy is built into every system. Everything has a backup, and sometimes a backup for the backup. Despite the size, life on board feels intimate. There's a barbershop, a chapel, a gym, and even a small convenience store. Crews form tight bonds because months can pass without touching land. Some see sunrises only as reflections on the sea, and measure time not by the calendar, but by the sound of jet engines above their bunks. It's a self-contained society, powered by discipline and precision, purpose and power. Aircraft carriers exist for one reason: projection. They are instruments of reach, tools that allow a country to place its presence anywhere on Earth without owning a single square meter of foreign soil. When a crisis erupts halfway across the world, a carrier can arrive within days, carrying an air force on its back and enough supplies to sustain itself for months. In peacetime, they deliver humanitarian aid and medical support. In conflict, they launch jets that can strike targets hundreds of kilometers away. But their real power isn't just military, it's psychological. The sight of an aircraft carrier on the horizon sends a message stronger than words. We're here and we're ready. That's why only a few nations possess them. They aren't just ships. They're floating symbols of technology, coordination, and willpower. A living system. Every time a jet roars down that short deck and lifts off into the blue, it's the result of thousands of micro decisions, each one executed with precision. Every meal cooked, every radar ping, every valve turn. All of it contributes to keeping a 100,000-ton machine balanced perfectly between air, sea, and purpose. An aircraft carrier isn't a single invention. It's a living system, an ecosystem of human skill and mechanical reliability. A city that breathes, eats, and moves. A community that drifts across oceans, always ready to act, always self-sustaining. And when you think about it, it's one of the purest demonstrations of what humans do best. Turn impossible logistics into motion. Turn steel and steam into coordination. Turn a floating city into a symbol. A city that never stops moving. A city at sea. If you love learning how massive systems actually work, subscribe to Under 5 Minutes, where we break down the biggest ideas, machines, and mysteries quickly, clearly, and always under 5 minutes.